Good afternoon, Toastmasters and honored guests. Are you a member of the 4-H Club? FORE! Competent Communicators? What's that you say? You've never heard of the 4-H Club? FORE! Competent Communicators? That's because I invented it. You see, one day, shortly after I joined Toastmasters, I decided to sit down on a Friday night and watch some YouTube videos. But unlike most people, I was not watching cat videos for hours on end, or videos of our favorite political candidate making a fool out of himself. No, Toastmasters and honored guests, I was on a mission. I was doing my homework and watching YouTube videos about prior Toastmasters contestants that had won national and international competitions. I wanted to see if they had anything in common. And I discovered that indeed they did. All of them, without exceptions, are indeed members of the 4-H Club, FORE! Competent Communicators. What does the 4-H Club stand for? Honest. They did their homework. They used humor. They were honest. And most of all, they spoke from their heart. We can learn a lot about winning a Toastmasters competition by applying the 4-H Club, FORE! Competent Communicator rules in our daily lives. You see, it's important when communicating with people in an audience, whether it's one person, 1,000, or 1,000,000, to do our homework, which means we prepare our speeches, we research our topics, we practice our speeches to perfection. We know them inside, outside, backwards and forwards in any way we possibly can. It shows adequate preparation on our part, and it certainly makes us feel more confident. And all of the prior winners of the national and international Toastmasters competitions had done their homework, and it showed. The second thing all of the prior winners had in common was all of them had a sense of humor. All of them were funny. They used humor to address some very challenging topics and some trials that came into their lives. Because all of us know that laughter truly is the best medicine. Let's use an example of the 2014 winner of the International Speech Competition for Toastmasters. His name is Dan. He had a tagline that ran throughout his entire speech that goes something like this. I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. Before he could finish saying that, the third time, the audience was laughing, and so was I. The third H, all of the prior winners of international and national Toastmasters competitions had in common was honesty. You could tell they have truly lived their lyrics. Honesty truly is the best policy when you're communicating with people. For me personally, I will forgive someone a lot faster if they tell me something I don't want to hear and they're honest about it, versus if they happen to tell me a lie and I find out the other way. I will be mad, yes. Most people will be when you tell them the truth, especially if it's what they don't want to hear. But they're a lot more forgiving if you're honest. Me personally, I will be mad at you for 30 seconds. Okay, if you're a family member, maybe 2 or 3 days. But if I find out you've been lying to me, I will be mad at you a whole lot longer. And that's not doing anybody any favors. The fourth H. Oh, while we're on the subject of honesty, I have to tell you about where this 4-H Club, FORE! Competent Communicators came from. My oldest son has been making weaponry of PVC pipe, foam, and duct tape since he was a teenager. Shortly before he moved out, he made me a present. He gave this to me for a Christmas present. You might notice there's some additional tape on here that says, the rod of disciplinary misfortune. He gave this to me as a way to equalize things when his brothers and him returned home from college or serving missions for our church. You see, all of my boys are quite a bit taller than I am, and none of them like to go to bed at a decent hour, and they have to do that because my husband has to get up early in the morning. Needless to say, when I pick up my rod of disciplinary misfortune, they know I am honest about using it on them if they don't make tracks and getting ready for bed the minute I pick it up. The last stage, and certainly not least, is heart. All of the prior contestants and winners of the national and international Toastmasters competitions spoke from their hearts. They had, whenever you speak from your heart, your audience receives a message that your words alone cannot adequately convey. I think most of us know the sting of a broken heart when a romance ends, or perhaps when our loved ones move away, or on occasion when there is a death in the family, or perhaps we are dealing with a wayward child. But on the other hand, since our heart is the center of our emotions, we also know the joy that we feel in our hearts when we accomplish something that seems impossible. Or perhaps, if you're like me or someone you love who received a breast cancer diagnosis, and you hear the wonderful news that the bone scan and the CT scan came out clean and there is no evidence of disease. In closing, I might also add that problem child that has been making you crazy since he was younger, the joy that you feel when he not only marries the girl of his dreams, but he marries the daughter of yours. In closing, I would like to encourage all of us to become members of the 4-H Club. 4 competent communicators. When we prepare our speeches and our messages, whether it's for an audience of 1 or a million, let's do our homework. Let's research our topic. Let's practice our speeches to perfection. Let's use humor. Laughter truly is the best medicine, and it can make the most difficult situations more palatable. I mean, I can make jokes about anything, and I think most people who have been through a crisis can. Not only will it help us, it will also help the people in our lives help us as well. Besides, it's a lot more pleasant to be around people who are laughing than what it is when they're crying. Number 3, let's be honest with our audience and with ourselves. When we share our messages, and in our interpersonal relationships with our family, friends, and even total strangers, honesty truly is the best policy. It may not make the pain go away, but the pain won't last nearly as long. And last but not least, let's share messages from our heart. And once again, when we speak from our heart, our audiences, whether it's an audience of 1, 1,000, or a million, will receive a message from our heart to theirs that words alone cannot adequately convey. Fellow Toastmasters.